This is the first poem we see where Catullus is not addressing someone. And as we go through it, I want you to think about why he may have chosen to tell this in a narrative versus addressing somebody instead. So we are going to be talking about this guy, Warus, and he's going to be your subject. So Maius Warus is going to be like my friend Warus. We have our verb here, and then may is the direct object. And then this word wisum could be a couple different things. I think the easiest thing for you guys is just to consider this a perfect passive participle describing may. It could also be a supine, and that makes it a little bit more complicated. So I think if we just say like having been seen, and then this is another kind of adjective describing may, like at leisure. So I'll draw my arrow over here. So he led me a foro and then ad suos amores. And this is going to mean like to his girlfriend. It is plural, but it'll have more of a singular meaning. All right, now we're going to get to this word scortillum. This is kind of has that diminutive look to it, but this is a word that Catullus has made up himself. And so your book has some translations for it, but for the sake of being a little bit more kind towards this woman, I'm going to call her a little tart going forward. And so this is going to be an apposition to the girlfriend. So the girlfriend, the little tart, or you can kind of just leave this in Latin if you want and just call it a scortillum. Again, this is a word that he made up. It is mad demeaning. Okay, so we have an oot here without a subjunctive, so we'll say as. He also developed this word to be neuter, so he's kind of removed the gender from her in a very disrespectful sort of way. So I'm going to still translate this as she, even though this is a neuter going with scortillum. So as she seemed, remember, because when it's a passive with the verb to see, it'll mean seemed. And then we have got our dative and then just a couple adverbs there. This next line is a litotes. So remember, a litotes is often a double negative, but it's always an understatement. So not truly, an elepidum will mean like without wit, so not without wit nor unattractive. So these again are adjectives describing the scortillum. So he's kind of like admitting that maybe she's okay looking, but we can already tell right off the bat that Catullus has some kind of beef with this woman. Okay, so and again, you'll translate your oot as. So as we come here, various conversations, that's going to be your subject here. We have a syncopated verb, and this will take a dative, so probably like for us. In quibus, in this case, we're going to translate this as among which, and the quibus is referring back to the sermones. And then we have three indirect questions. So you've got this first one, and then this second one, and then this third one. Possibly a bit of an ascending tricolon here as we get a little bit longer and as things kind of become a little bit more personal as the questions develop. So we've got what, and then we're talking about this place, Bithynia. So essed is your verb. Quo modo together means how. And then you're going to continue to make Bithynia your subject. And so the say would be referring back to your subject, Bithynia. And then et quonam is going with ire. And so you're looking at this O ending right here. And then we have this suffix nam on the end there. So with what money, and again, Bithynia is your subject. And we've got our subjunctive. And then mihi to me, for me, for that one. This profuus, it will take a dative. So watch the tense of your subjunctives. You've got an imperfect, an imperfect, and then you have with this isse a pluperfect here. I responded. And this is going to mean that which was. So maybe id quotes your subject, that which was. So in other words, he responded the truth. So he's telling the truth about how things are going in Bithynia. So he says that nothing, there was nothing, neither for Ipsis, this will kind of mean like the native people of Bithynia, nor for their governors, nor for their kind of cohort, kind of like their followers here. And then this is like, maybe think of it as like there was no reason why anyone referet, literally carry back. A unctius is a comparative and caput is head. And this, read in the book a little bit about this, but this is kind of going to mean if you have an oily head, that means that you've got some money. This isn't an icky thing. This is a pleasant thing. So having the ability to buy expensive hair lotions and things like that. So kind of a sign of prosperity. So what we're finding out is that none of these people were able to provide that for themselves. And then we have especially, and I would supply the word aes here, like a long is, make it dative. So especially for those, and then you can make this the antecedent of quibus for those for whom there was an erumator. Now check out the definitions in your book for this one. I'm going to use the word pervert. So he's kind of saying something demeaning or degrading here about the praetor. So maybe throwing the blame for the lack of money on the praetor. And then this little clause is going to be describing the praetor. So he does not faceret. I would do something like value his cohortem. And then this is going to be another genitive of value, like we saw in one of his earlier poems. So I would just translate it as worth. And so here again, we're finding out that this governor fellow does not value. So essentially, there's not a whole lot of money coming into Bithynia for Catullus here.